I have a prayer and an appeal to the internet and to YouTube and to everybody. Stop making yourself role models and stop preach how to act and how to feel and how to behave and how to think. Please stop. Start being real. Start being compassionate. Start connecting. Start sharing emotions instead of keeping it held down. Start identify each other. Say you have the same problems. Stop making you to a god and tell everybody else how they behave. And then I will stop now also because this is a paradox. Okay. Can we please start sharing our emotions in same level, even we're different, instead of putting yourself up to being a master, to be a therapist, to be an expert? Can you just be here as a human in the same level and wisdom and sharing emotion, problems, and happiness and love instead of teaching and teaching, telling other people how to behave and how to be? Can you tell about your troubles and about your philosophy about life? Tell about what you know and knowledge in all the worlds and experience and science and everything you're an expert in, and stop being a kind of making yourself to an expert or a teacher or a god for everybody else. Can we start sharing in a level where we don't make ourselves for a master, but see us as human in common with other? Can we start if people telling that they will tell you how to behave and how to feel? Can you start identify telling you got the same problem, feeling the same way, instead of constantly be the wise, smart guy or woman to say and tell them how to do? Can you tell that you suffer the same way and don't have a solution? You just want to share the same emotion in a kind of spiritual community and hug instead of making yourself better than others? Can we start sharing emotion and be compassionate, empathic against to each other instead of making ourselves constantly better and telling other people how to behave? Can you please identify going in the same level in the eye level of another person and say you feel the same kind of powerlessness, problems, love, and all this instead of telling other people how to act and how to be human beings? Can we just accept that we are sharing some deep trauma, some love, some connection instead of putting yourself up over other people? Can people be proud enough to admit that they are in the same trouble? Stop gossiping, stop talking behind other people's back. Can you please be for everybody? Give them the information you have instead of hiding or making yourself better. Can anybody be able to understand each other instead of constantly making distance and telling other people how to behave? Can you stop lies and rumors and gossip? Just try to be a kind of emotional community where you stop making yourself like a hero to tell the other what's right and wrong. Can you please put it to some spiritual power, another place, or a god instead of making yourself to an expert? Can we start sharing emotions in a community that's much more lovable than making yourself to an expert, telling people how to feel and act or do when you even don't know how their life looks like? Stop telling people just to walk away from toxic people or create their own life. They don't know their situation, their economy, or anything about family or relationship or who they are. Stop telling other people how to do, how to seduce their problems and how to lose their life, live their life. Start sharing your own piece of the cake in that case that you are telling that you also are sad and unhappy and crying if that's the case, or also find something funny. Start to go in each other's level instead of putting yourself up. Start a kind of spiritual hug because we're all suffering in some way. Try to understand other people instead of making yourself an expert. And it is an exception when you ask people so much about a case and they're constantly changing answer. This is the kind of behave like a psychopath. Start being with another and start helping and understand instead of putting yourself up, make yourself an expert and stop being defensive at times, and you never would be in the same situation. Start to not making yourself better anyway, even we are different, look different, and have different kind of levels of education and jobs and money. Start being in the same level. I know your pain instead of trying of explaining and being a teacher for everything. How many people can say, I know your pain, I understand it, instead of constantly telling other people that are weeping too much and to kick them to do something they're not fond of to get help or anything. Just start by understanding and go in this level and say, I suffer in the same level too. That's a very proud thing to do instead of putting yourself up like an expert. I know your pain, I feel the same, and we are human and connected, not to keeping each other down and humiliating everybody, making yourself like an expert. This is a very big appeal for me because it's almost being too much. It's awful, it's painful to constantly be kicking down in this narcissistic culture. Can we please try to share and we feel the same and we are and suffer anyway, anybody without me feeling yourself better, constantly advising me to do something that don't do. Just start feeling love and connection. This has been so beautiful. Have a nice evening. Amen.